Hi, I'm Judy Griffin with Aroma Health Texas, and today we're going to start a series on ancient aromatherapy, and we're going to look at Cleopatra perfumes today. Perfumes were thick enfleurages, and this is an enfleurage that we make in macerations. You can see how thick it is. And they used cold press oils and enfleurages and macerations. Macerations are heated by the sun, but you can see that we've packed this whole entire jar. I'm sure they would have great big vats. With the product at the right time, you have to pick it. And then you let it sit in some sort of heat, like sunlight or, sun heat. And then you have to strain it. And when you strain it, what you strain out, you're going to macerate again and again and again. And it may take 10 times, not with the same material, but with new material every time with the same medium. And they used a lot of cold-pressed oils. So just in case you want to try that, you just need a lot of material to do it and a little bit of time. So, and they used some kind of cloth, like muslin or something, to strain. They didn't have any cool strainers like we have now. So oils that they used were olive oil a lot, and they used some almond oil. They used moringa oil from the moringa tree when they had access to that. They used some linseed oil from flax and sesame seed oil, and they preserved their nutrients and fatty acids in the oil, so they were healing and nurturing just in themselves before you even added any of their aromatherapy to it. They used flower oils, and they would make their flower oils by dipping them in a fat, and that could be an oil, or sometimes they used an animal fat, and they would heat it to about 149 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 65 degrees Celsius, best we know, real close to that. And consider that boiling for Fahrenheit is 212. So it's they could tell by looking at it when it was time to cool it down. It would get to a point and it thickened at the top, but it didn't boil. They don't want it to simmer or boil yet, but when they saw the material thickening at the top and drawing to the top, then they knew it was time to cool it down immediately and remove the flowers. And they had an enfleurage, but they did this process over and over again with new material, new flowers, just like we were talking about with the macerations. It's very similar. The vessels they used were often alabaster. They used glass and clay and wood, and they often had little designs in animals on their containers. Smell was important in ancient times. You would think that they were just used to some stinky places, but they didn't like that. One of the first things a pharaoh, when they were installed or whatever they did, would have to do is clean up any smells of fish or animals or dead reeds and things like that would smell. They did not like smell that was bad in their environment. And consider there's no plumbing, there's no garbage disposal, so there's plenty of smell that could be happening. They were basically clean people, and they believed, especially in Egypt, that personal hygiene produced good health, and you couldn't have one without the other. And most cities were near waterways, so they, could have transportation, and there there was global trade going on then, okay? And flowers and many kinds of oil-producing products, and that were part of it. All the aromatherapy, because every advanced civilization has aromatherapy of some sort. So these cities with their waterways, they smell like fish or animals, and again, like rotting grasses and such. So they not only tried to keep it real clean, but they used aromatherapy to make everything smell well. Today we're going to focus on Cleopatra, but there's other ones we can do where I'll show you how they cleaned themselves without water and had better cleanliness than we did, and more things that they did to keep their environment healthy. You might learn something. And of course, they used aromatherapy for embalming. They used aromatherapy in their papyrus. The papyrus reeds or grass produced they were called papyrus, but it was their sheets to write on and such, okay? Like our paper. And it had a natural woody smell to it. They believed that scent also reached the divine, so it represented divinity to them. They weren't a culture that went within to find our Creator. They were looking up, okay? And so scent was important for all those things, and Cleopatra had a blend for every part of her body. We won't go into all the body parts, but we're going to do a few that you could probably do at home and get an idea of what she did, or actually her servants. For her hands, which even in medieval times, the hands had to be beautiful. So, gardeners like me would not fit in very well, but they kept their hands beautiful with an oil, and then they would add they could make kind of an unguent, or what we might think of as a cream a little bit. And she used rose because she could, and she used rose. For a small 1 ounce jar like this, she had at least 5 drops of rose. Rose, it takes a lot of roses. If you're steam distilling, it takes 10,000 to make, maybe an ounce of rose oil. And in an enfleurage, it would take at least that much, if not 10 times more. So, you can imagine that the rich people got the roses, and this is sweet violet. This is an enfleurage we make, and we're not going to have as much sweet violet as rose, but the combination, and then we can mix it up. I found if you just leave it and let it, that's very good. Oh, I might try that. My hands will get a treat tonight. But as you put it on, you kind of mix it up. And on her feet, she had cinnamon, and she mixed it with just drops of honey, enough to make it solvent, like she could just then put it on her feet. And she might put a little bit of vanilla bean in there, and they had that. And they would do the same thing with vanilla beans as we did with this enfleurage that I showed you here. They would soak it over and over again in a warm or heated oil, or let it heat up is probably what they did, because they used the sun energy. And after, it'd be probably a month at least before they could get enough scent into their product to make it good, but she would put that on her feet. And then other parts of the body, she would use things like iris and hyacinth and orange blossoms, which is what we call neroli, and it comes from Italy. So we know that the trade was really ongoing with other parts of the world for her to get that. And iris, they had that there. I think they had hyacinth there. But the orange blossoms, they probably had to import, and that's takes thousands and thousands of orange blossoms to make just a small amount of neroli. Blue Lotus was one of the things she was famous for, and we don't use it a lot in aromatherapy. It's expensive, and we usually use rose or one of those jasmine. They had exceptional jasmine oils in Egypt, and Egypt still makes exceptional jasmine essential oil. So she might use that, and it's very erotic in a way, and antidepressant, making you feel good about yourself. The Blue Lotus was actually hypnotic, at least the one she used, how they made it. We don't know everything, but archaeologists have put together things, and even took scrapings from her tomb of bowls that had some of her favorite perfumes in there with her that the grave robbers didn't get. And this is how we know that information. But Blue Lotus was very good for being relaxing and engaging, even in the mind and in diplomacy. Cleopatra used scent a lot because, first of all, she was a woman in a man's world in her country, much less all the other countries. And that could be even an advantage or a disadvantage, and she used it to her advantage to have these scents on her in her room where she was meeting these people. And some of them, like Blue Lotus, can also be an aphrodisiac. So she had a son with Julius Caesar, and later twins with Mark Antony. So those are blends that we could experiment with and make some of our own. We're going to make up a blend that I think is pretty well known that Cleopatra could have used. In the Antique Rose Collection ebook that I have out, there is recipes for Kaifi and lots of other formulas. It's not really just about roses, it's about aromatherapy. And the theme is roses, but I have a lot in there of other formulas and fragrances and ancient formulas like the very famous Kaifi. So we're going to do a little blend here that we'll call our blend for Cleopatra. And you could use this as a gift to people, Cleopatra's perfume or Cleopatra's blend, or you could use it yourself. I'm using an oil that is cold pressed, and it happens to be jojoba oil. I like it because it doesn't stay sticky on the skin. It's not really an oil, it's a wax, and it's the same as the sebum knot in your skin. So it's great to do essential oil blends and healing blends in that. So one of the things you have to remember about the ancient blends, ancient countries, they were very heavy on low notes, what we call low notes, like myrrh and frankincense and sandalwood. They used a lot of that, and they used cedar wood, especially in Egypt. And they used a lot of that in their home. So in the blends that we make, they're going to be a little heavier on low notes than we normally would do. Normally we wouldn't put in more than 6 drops, but we're going to have 10 drops of low notes. In this blend, we're going to have 5 drops of myrrh. Oops, a little messy. And myrrh is an antifungal, it's antibacterial, and it's great for wounds on the skin, and of course they used it for embalming. So in their blends, there was a reason why they were mixing certain ones together, okay? And then we got 5 drops of frankincense, and they used it as an anti-inflammatory, so it's great for skin and other ailments that could happen. They used it in meditation and prayer, definitely very much in their temples. So those were our low notes. Then we're going to go into our high notes. And I like this one. We have 4 drops of cardamom. Cardamom is so smooth. It's soft as an essential oil, and it's very relaxing. It's a digestant, and it helps to regulate blood pressure, and it's very good for heart health. Many other uses for it, but that's what it's used for, especially in those times. And then we could use blue lotus or rose, or we could use jasmine. And jasmine, like I said, the Egyptian jasmine was exquisite, and it's definitely a very sultry scent and very alluring. And you know that Cleopatra had to have used a lot of that too. So we're using 4 drops of cardamom. I'm going to use my rose from over here because I don't have blue lotus today. And we're going to use 6 drops of rose, jasmine, blue lotus, whichever one you prefer, or something else. And then for our high note, we're going to use orange blossom, which they call it orange blossom, we call it neroli. And it beautifies the skin. It's an anti-stress, antidepressant type scent. I mean, immediately. It's really hard to be, I've worked with people for 45 years. It's really hard to be depressed when you're smelling neroli, okay? You just keep smelling it and smelling it. It helps to release serotonin, which is what you change when you become depressed, or if you have a problem with serotonin in your brain expression and your neurotransmitters, then neroli is always going to help that. It helps to reduce stress and reduce high cortisol. Cortisol hits the heart. It's a hormone that is a stress hormone, and it hits your heart. And that's why you see people under huge amounts of stress having heart problems or having heart attack or something like that. It's very good for mental fatigue, and it helps to regulate hormones, balance hormones, especially for women. Because men don't have as many hormones, but men like it. And I'm going to use 9 drops, just like we would use in a blend. And again, if you wanted to use the blue lotus, it has a calming, hypnotic, and possibly for some people at least, an aphrodisiac type property. everybody that you read when they talk about Cleopatra, that she hypnotized or she seduced Mark Antony and all these other people with her scent and her aromas. So we're going to cap our Cleopatra blend with a cap that has an insert, a little plastic insert that's not going to touch your product, but it's going to help keep pressure down and allow us to keep our blend out of light and heat, high heat, for a minimum of 3 days. Something like this with these really kind of erotic essential oils, I would do it for 10 days. Oh yeah, this is good already. But I would do it 10 days. If you use it, if you allow it to sit as long as 28 to 30 days, you will see an unbelievable change in the scent. And all these guys get together, all these essential oils, and they combine and they make something totally new. And it unfolds like a flower. And as you put it on, and the heat in your body allows that scent to come out in layers. It's really good. Next week we're going to explore some more of ancient aromatherapy, and I hope you like and subscribe and join us next week. And again, there's more information in Antique Rose Collection ebook at Aroma Health Texas and on Kindle. Bye-bye.